Nigerians are continuing to talk about the recent spate of violence that had erupted in Okuoma community and which had actually resulted in the killings of Nigerian army soldiers at Okuoma in Delta State and the reprisal attack by the Nigerian army themselves, which was quite surprising. If we may ask, sir, from your perspective, what are the key factors that you think must have contributed to this?
Well, to start with, the recent violence in Okuama community is it's a very sad one and something that could or should have been prevented. The problem here basically is the Nigerian use or encouragement of the use of the Nigerian armed forces, particularly the army, in the running of the internal security architecture of Nigeria. The army has no business in the public sphere, sorry to say, except they are being invited by civil authorities. The army all over the world belongs to the barrack. They cannot come out from the barrack unless they are asked to come out by civil authorities. It's there in the constitution. I must say that I regret the situation. I want to, sympathize and send my condolences to the army family members who lost their loved ones, and also the army generally, because there's no excuse or defense to kill anybody, not to talk about our army. It's unacceptable, and it's unconstitutional, it's unlawful. But nevertheless, like I said, the army has no business to come into the community, Okuoma community, to say they want to come for peacekeeping or whatever. They have no business. It is the duty of the police to do that. Now, if you look at the number of people that were killed, 16 or 17, a lieutenant, 2 major, 1 captain, and 12 officers, it doesn't meet any military formation. The military's job is kinetic force. It is when the police have failed, particularly the mobile police, then there should be an act of the parliament, of the National Assembly, instructing with the president, who has the the operative use of force by virtue of section 218 of the Constitution, to give order to the armed forces as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces to go in and use force to subdue any insurrection. That is when even the president cannot just do it alone. After that order, the National Assembly will have to sit and deliberate, then give not schedule now, kind of a law. They will pass a law enabling the army to go into the civil space. So it is the failure in the system not to follow the constitution and lay down laws that has resulted to this, and more importantly, to the injustice, the unfairness in the system, the discrimination in the system, has also led to this violence.
Talking about the role of the government itself, how do you assess the government's response to that recent violence, and including the efforts to address the root causes, ensuring accountability and preventing further escalation of the conflict?
First, I want to look at, when we're talking about government here, I want to look at not just the federal government, the state government. I will start with the state government. I have it here before me, which I will furnish you. The community, the Okuoma community, Okuoma community wrote to the governor of Delta State, the Delta State government, asking an SOS message, asking the government, Delta State, to intervene in the clashes or the crisis between them and their neighbors, the Okoloba community. That letter was written on the 2nd and was received on the 2nd in Asaba by the governor. The
2nd of what month?
February. That is weeks before this violence. The governor did nothing. They sat on the letter. The governor needs to be asked why. Even though he is like a, would I say,
chief security officer of the
chief, but without any power to command anything. But he would have showed some concern to, discuss with send his commissioner for chieftaincy and communal, commissioner that is designated for such affairs, to go to the community, to intervene, to talk to them and see how they can douse the tension. Nothing was done. So the governor of Delta State, Sheriff, needs, should take a lion's share of this blame. Then talking about the federal government, the federal government has not done well because after the violence, which I condemn strongly, the killing of the soldiers and according to the report, the decapitation or the mutilation of their bodies, I am not a party to that. It's not acceptable. I keep on saying that. The federal government ought to have carried out an investigation, or at best set up an inquiry into this matter, so that the truth will come out, so that the immediate and the remote and the immediate and remote cause of these clashes will be looked into. But rather, what did the government do? The government gave a blanket order that they should go in there and take and seize the land, which they have done. They've seized the whole land right now. They burned down houses. They brutalized the people. They have the people have now flee into the bushes. Their houses are being destroyed. Their neighbors and other people are coming to loot their properties. Now the question is, why this collective punishment? Yes, two wrongs can never make a right. A few people have committed this offense. So why punish the whole community? All the community cannot be said to have been a party to this crime. So the collective punishment, I vehemently reject it and say it's unacceptable, and the army needs to stop forthwith such draconic action. They are behaving like our colonial masters army that conquered Nigeria. When they come to a community, they did it to Jaja of Opobo. They did it to Oba Overame of Benin. They did it to the emirs in the north. They come to your land, and because they want the land, maybe one of the warriors or one of the freedom fighters or people who are insisting, the indigenous people who are insisting that they don't want Britain to take over their trade or take over their land, is in hiding. They come, they burn everywhere down, level it down, kill anybody they meet just because of one person or a few people. So why should our army continue to behave in this light? There is no responsible army in the world that will turn the arms against its own citizens. It's unacceptable. Very unacceptable.
What implications do these incidents have for the security and the stability of the Niger Delta region?
The implication of this is that the army is gradually losing its respect, because the situation where a few people, not trained people, would attack our soldiers without any resistance. They didn't even have the chance to even defend themselves as it is. It shows that now it's not only the army that have the ultimate power of the use of force in the country. It now shows that we now have non-state actors. And until the Nigerian army, I would say, respects itself by being the last resort in the chain of the defense or security matters in this country, the army is supposed to be the last man standing. So when the army fails to be the last man standing, then these non-state actors will feel more powerful to continue to destabilize the region. Now, look at, for instance, why should 16 military men come into a community without surveillance, without reconnaissance, without any, you just come in? What kind of formation is that? A colonel, a lieutenant colonel is commanding a battalion, and a battalion is supposed to be made up of 1,000 men. Let's say roughly, because of Nigerian situation, we can say 300 men. What is he going to do there without his men? So the Nigerian army, when the police fails, civil authority calls them in, then the lieutenant would have come in with nothing less than 1,000 men. And there's no number of, there's no way that any force can easily overwhelm such people after doing their intelligence surveillance and all that. Then if the battalion fails, what happens? He calls for the brigade, the brigade next to another division. And if a division fails, he goes for the brigade. If the brigade fails, you know, they will come massively. But when you now start coming to the civilian space unlawfully or illegally, then you're losing respect, because you're not supposed to be interfacing with the civilians. When you see army, you run. That's what it's supposed to be.
That's true.
Yeah.
Let me take you up on one of your recent tweets.
Okay.
Wherein you said that 287 kidnapped Kaduna school children regained freedom after 16 days in captivity. And despite the fact that the federal government of Nigeria know the locations of the kidnappers, no arrests, no prosecution, just only for the victims to lick their wounds. This is the height of discrimination. The Nigerian army will have handled this differently in Okuoma or other parts of the southern Nigeria. Now, considering this, in your view, what role do political dynamics, ethnic tensions, and other factors play in shaping the security situation, especially in the southern part of the country?
Well, confirming that tweet, it is sad that we have in this country two different laws guiding two different set of people. There's no way, nobody is going to tell me, because I'm living in it right now and I see discrimination. The way the federal government handles criminals or criminal activities or corporates of such activity in the north is different from the way they handle it in the south. Now, the federal government has the location of these terrorists, where these children were taken to, and all that, and they are saying that no single arrest was made, nobody was interrogated. Then what makes you think that they will not do this next time? They will continue to do it. Look at the recent list of terrorists that was declared by the federal government, and you can see Chief Gumi's response to the federal government, and you will see that, is it that the federal government is, I want to think the federal government is afraid. I want to use that word. There is something that probably that we don't know. You know, probably the government is just trying to, I'm not trying to play devil's advocate, but I think there are a group of people who are ready to destroy this country because they have the arms and ammunition. I'm telling you, there are a group set of ethnic nationality in this country that is more armed than the Nigerian army, that can take on the Nigerian army, and they're waiting for just that. They're waiting for the whistle to be blown, and it's not going to be funny. So the federal government treats these people with kid glove. For instance, all the terrorists that were mentioned, why is it that none of them has been prosecuted? Why is it that they are in their office or in their house and nobody has really invited them? If it were in the south that they say somebody is a terrorist, under 24 hours, DSS, all the security operatives, civil defense, Nigerian army, Nigerian police, a combined team will go to that person's house, bundle the person will be in detention. But these people are in their houses. Nothing has been done. And mind you, these same terrorists, their counterparts that were identified abroad have been jailed about 2-3 years ago. And these people are still walking free. So the height of discrimination is so much. And because of this, the counterparts of this, I won't say terror group, or will I say those people who are not happy with the system because of the injustice of the system in the Niger Delta, because of the way the government is taking, is following their discriminatory pattern of handling corporates, they have decided to take their destiny into their hands, and it will continue to happen until the federal government allow rule of law to reign in Nigeria, where there is equality and no man is above the law.
Good. You've actually touched on this, but I'd really love to get more clarification on this.
Okay.
How might these incidents impact public trust in government institutions, including the military? And in your view, sir, what steps should be taken at this time in order to rebuild trust and foster reconciliation between the communities and the security forces?
To solve the problem, what the government needs to do is, first, is to look at the Constitution. The Constitution, the 1999 Constitution, as far as I'm concerned, is a fraudulent document that was obtained by deceit of the military. They say, we the people never will anything. As at the time Abdul Salami was bringing out that Constitution, Nigerians have not gone through it. Even the president-elect then, Olusegun Obasanjo, had not even seen the Constitution that he was sworn into. So that Constitution is maintaining the conquest of Nigeria of pre-colonial era up to the governance of military government of Nigeria in the colonial era, because Nigeria was brought together and wedded forcefully without the consent of the indigenous people. So everything boils down on this Constitution. It is high time the Nigerians, we need to sit down and ask ourselves, what is the basis of our unity? Do we really want to be together? I without apology, I believe Nigerians should be one, but it's not a matter of do or die. If the indigenous people in Nigeria decide to be one, so be it. If they decide not to be one, so be it. So the issue now I'm trying to say now is that the Constitution has to be looked into thoroughly. Then two, we must allow the laws and the Constitution play their roles, not we playing the role for them or choosing what we want to happen. We justify the law and the Constitution, and we do what we want to do. The Constitution is saying that there shall be one police force in Nigeria, and the function of the police is the prevention of crime, the arrest of criminals, the prosecution of criminals, and all that. It never said that the army should do those jobs. Peacekeeping is the job of police. And the Constitution is very clear again that the function of the army is the defense of the territorial integrity of Nigeria. That is their job, kinetic, defend it. Then the army can only participate in in internal security matters if they are called upon by the civil authorities, the politicians. They call them in, and they cannot just call them in. The president must, in writing, invite them, and even the president alone cannot just easily just bring in the army. The National Assembly also will pass a law. Now, are you telling me that the president gave the group of military men or the 181 amphibious battalion the right to go into Okuoma? They don't have rights, no constitutional right to be there. Are you saying the National Assembly has passed a law as to how they are going to conduct themselves in that Okuoma community? There was nothing like that. So all this issue of the Constitution and the compliance of rule of law must play its role where there will be fairness, equity, and justice. Then the Nigerian army and the Nigerian government will regain their pride of place in the society among these warring factions, so that nobody is even if you look at this Okuoma and the Okoloba situation, it's also tribal. You have the Ijos, you have the Urhobos. So the Urhobo part of the community now feels that the Ijos are being favored. There's discrimination. So it's a pent-up anger. They vent their anger in the slightest opportunity, which is not the best way to express ourselves.
Let's also get this, and sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'd like to get your view, talking about the compliance of the rule of law. You're a legal practitioner. What are the legal implications of what had happened in Okuoma community? And talking about remedies, what legal remedies should the families of those who have been affected, should they be sought? I mean, looking for, what should be provided for them as victims of this crisis?
You mean the members of the community or the army?
Of the communities.
Well, first we'll talk about the army. The army, they have their compensations and all that, and it's very sad that we're going to have some widows, some orphans and all that. Or they'll be compensated, of course, through the military protocols and all that. But as for the community, I got it on good authority that the army is planning to build a barracks there. And I'm saying they have no right to do that. There's also, I have it on good authority that the army is still occupying that place, and the government has said they should occupy that, continue to occupy. And I'm saying it is high time they leave that place, because they have no reason to be in that place. Then on the issue of compensation, the law is very clear. We have the enforcement of fundamental human rights. Anybody who feels aggrieved amongst the community or the community as a whole can go to court and seek redress for either anybody that has been brutalized, anybody that has lost his property has been burnt down, or if anybody has lost any of his loved ones, somebody has been killed, if anybody has been raped, they can jolly well go to court. But I want to say on this issue that I discovered that our people are very timid. I've handled a lot of fundamental human rights cases, and I'm proud to say I lost a good number of them. Why? Because of the issue of local standing. People don't want to come up, even if you are ready to give them free legal advice or free legal service in terms of enforcement of their fundamental. They are afraid. Because I, for one, if I rush to court and say, federal government, you have no right to do this, the question the court will leave you after everything. They bring a preliminary objection. They say you have no local standing, and that is the end of the whole thing. I've gone through it several times. This Okuoma situation right now, they are approaching me, but at the same time they are scared. But I'm not going to beg anybody to help them fight for their right. So they should get good lawyers. There are a lot of good lawyers, but what I will advise them, a lawyer cannot do your case without you giving them the required information. So I want to encourage those who have suffered any loss to please come up. You don't even need a lawyer to enforce your right. Go to court and enforce your right. And if you do that, there will be a benchmark so that tomorrow there will be something to fall back on. There's a lot of infringement of human rights by the Nigerian, sir. Just imagine, the Nigerian army, they will come out and say, Operation Python Dance, Operation Atulegu, Operation Crocodile Smile. Sir, I've challenged all this in court and I lost them on local standing. I spent millions. Now, the issue here, sir, is this, sir. The army has no right in the internal architectural security structure of Nigeria. In all those python dance, they will tell you the army wants to fight against robbery, against this is Christmas, that in case of stealing in Christmas, armed robbery in Christmas and Ember month, that they will sometimes they tell you they want to fight against cyber crime, Buratai and co. They want to fight against cyber crime. They want to fight against cattle. They want to fight against cattle rustling. They want to fight against communal clashes. These are not their constitutional powers, and we keep on telling them that you don't have this right. So Nigerians must always, I encourage them, if you don't need to get a lawyer, go to court, challenge any of these things, so that at least there's something to build the legal system. There's something to follow. Last time when this thing happened, this was what Mr. A did. You understand? And the court held that the army does not have right in internal matters. If that is done, you have something. But now, nothing is being done. So I want to encourage those who have suffered any damage to please ensure that they go to court to enforce their fundamental rights. And this is not in any way spiting the army. We are saying the army should do what is right. We are saying that the army has no business to be there in the first place. We are saying we regret the deaths of those army officers. We regret it and we say it's unacceptable. But nevertheless, that we reject in strong terms collective punishment, the brutalization of people, chasing them like rats out of their compound, their ancestral home, occupying their ancestral home, allowing neighbors to loot them, keeping them, allowing them run into the bushes like animals. We say no. You have said you know the culprit. If you know the culprit, go after the culprit. Don't punish a whole community for the sin of few. That's my position on the matter.
All right, sir. Malcolm Omirhobo, thank you so much for this.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.